Hello and welcome. Here's what's happening right now. Frustration takes off with thousands of travel plans up in the air.
They're also telling us that there is no flight and that we're going home Wednesday.
Tracking negotiations and fastening seatbelts for a flight attendant strike.
I want certain things. I want to see a ceasefire.
Why the high-stakes meeting is no longer one-on-one. Plus, Canadian students launch to historic new heights.
CTV National News with Heather Butts.
We begin with the operational wind down at Air Canada as 10,000 flight attendants gear up to go on strike at 1 a.m. Eastern if a deal isn't reached. Air Canada says nearly 300 flights have been cancelled and more than 55,000 people have been impacted so far today. And Ottawa is calling on both sides to work with federal mediators. CTV's Kamal Karamali is at Pearson Airport. Kamal, where do the negotiations stand right now?
Heather, it's been a tense time for passengers behind me, but the battle between Air Canada and the union representing more than 10,000 flight attendants has also been an incredibly stressful one. Behind these doors, the war room for flight attendants who say they're waiting for Air Canada to meet them at the table. Any progress in talks?
None at all. It's been crickets.
Almost no progress made throughout the day today on a new agreement between the airline and the union representing more than 10,000 flight attendants. With little runway remaining before workers walk off the job, Air Canada told the federal government that it wants to go through binding arbitration that would bring in a neutral third party into the negotiations. The union responded today saying Air Canada's request for ministerial intervention under Section 107 should be firmly rejected.
We don't think that a third party should be coming in to save the day once again for Air Canada, swoop in and not let them negotiate.
Both sides are battling it out over wages. Air Canada has said it's offering a 38% increase in total compensation that includes wages, benefits, and pension over 4 years. But the union says when you look at just the wages, that amounts to just over 17% over 4 years. The airline says that's a fair amount.
This will make them the best paid in Canada. And that's important because they are the best flight attendants in Canada.
Flight attendants also fighting to get compensated for unpaid work that happens before takeoff and after landing. Air Canada has offered to pay 50% for that work while planes are on the ground. The union wants 100%.
What we're offering with regards to ground pay will be the best in Canada. So, we're working to, recognize what, the contributions of the flight attendants.
Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu's office now urging both sides to work with federal mediators to get a deal done, something that seems far from happening right now. Heather.
CTV's Kamal Karamali at Pearson Airport. Thanks, Kamal. Thousands of passengers are scrambling here in Canada and around the world, waiting to hear whether their flights are cancelled. CTV's Sean Lethong is speaking with travelers about the growing frustration and disruption. Sean.
Well, Heather, with the number of cancellations increasing, so do the number of passengers who are looking for answers, and they're turning nearly anywhere to get them.
Likely to be happening.
With a strike looming, a table of complimentary snacks set up by Air Canada is taking on a new role.
People are asking you questions like your help desk.
We are still answering them.
With cancellations piling up, passengers here are looking for answers.
I had my flight canceled to Vancouver earlier today.
Making a long day for Amanjot Kaur.
I started at 4:30 with the snack thing, and I'm here until maybe later on, so that I'm doing overtime at the moment because we want our customers to keep moving, and we are trying our level best.
Air Canada is winding down operations in anticipation of a possible strike by its 10,000 flight attendants, starting yesterday with many more cancellations today. 500 flights are expected to be canceled by day's end, and passengers like Miriam McDonald stranded.
I'm just feeling devastated. They're really, frustrated and no help.
For months. At one of many help desks, there are few answers, with frustrations boiling over.
Look, I sympathize with all of you, but this is ridiculous.
Rosario Aguilera is trying to fly home to Mexico. Flight canceled, and when trying to rebook,
nothing. The website is not working. The phone number is not answering. Like, we don't have any information at all.
Those offered another flight are unsure.
Fly with another carrier at 4:30. Confirm, but they don't confirm because you can't get a hold of anybody.
As confused passengers try to help each other.
And if we're not happy with waiting, then we can book a hotel room.
And as many more cancellations go out, the advice from Pearson?
If you don't have a confirmed booking, that you shouldn't come to the airport and continue to check your flight status before you come here.
Back at the snack desk, Nindy has had his flight to the United Kingdom canceled. And despite the inconvenience,
I will back them 100%. Even though I'm going to be suffering, I agree with what they're doing.
And he is not alone.
I think the bigger thing at play here is, fair contract for the workers. So while it is affecting me, it's also affecting them.
But for now, it will take more than a few chips to get things moving.
So with hours until the strike deadline, Air Canada is already calling this a labor disruption. The question is, how much farther will it go? Heather.
Sean Leathong for us, thanks. Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin are now both in Alaska for the high-stakes summit over the war in Ukraine. Here's what the U.S. president had to say on the way to the talks.
I want to see a ceasefire rapidly. I don't know if it's going to be today, but I'm not going to be happy if it's not today. Everyone said it can't be today, but I'm just saying I want the killing to stop.
The two leaders got off their planes at virtually the same time. Trump gave the Russian leader a small applause as they met on the red carpet, where they shook hands. They then proceeded to walk together, even getting into the same presidential car to head to the site of the summit in Anchorage. CTV's Mike LeCouture is on the airbase in Anchorage, where the meeting is happening. Mike, walk us through what we've seen so far.
Yeah, that red carpet meeting and that warm welcome is certainly shocking to a lot of people when you consider the fact that President Putin had been shunned by so many world leaders. So for him to get such a warm welcome, really something that a number of people did not expect to happen. What we can tell you is, as of about 10 minutes ago, the White House did put out a note saying that meeting between the two leaders, which also includes members of their entourage, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Sergei Lavrov, who's the foreign minister for Russia, and Steve Witkoff, who is the special envoy to Russia, that is still going on. So that's nearly 2 hours now, and that's a really good indication that things may be progressing the way that Donald Trump wants them to. You'll remember he has said this week that he'll know within the first 2 to 5 minutes if this is going to be a good meeting or not. Sounds like it is progressing already, and that's important because in the room behind me, those podiums behind me, that is where they are expected to give a joint news conference at the end of their meetings and a working lunch. If it goes well, the White House said, it will be the two leaders here. If it doesn't go well, then it will be just U.S. President Donald Trump. So the indications that we're seeing right now is that after 2 hours of meetings, things seem to be going well, but reiterating what he had said he wanted, a ceasefire. That is what Trump said he wants. That was also what Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he wants out of this. He's not at these meetings, but Trump has said that he could be at a subsequent meeting that could happen very quickly afterwards, depending on how this one goes. Heather?
CTV's Mike LeCouture in Anchorage for us. Mike, thank you. On his way to Alaska, U.S. President Donald Trump dropped another trade threat, this time on the semiconductor sector, which supports more than 120,000 jobs in Canada. CTV's Rachel Aiello has more on that and some new research on how Canadians feel about the cross-border relationship. Bring us up to speed, Rachel.
Heather, it's been a long, hot summer of escalating tariff threats from the U.S. president. And today, Donald Trump just turned up the heat again. Donald Trump says he's about to send tariffs on semiconductors climbing. Aboard Air Force One, the U.S. president said that either next week or the week after, he'll be taking new trade action against the microchips that help power virtually all electronic devices.
We're going to have a rate that is going to be lower at the beginning. Then that gives them a chance to come in and build, and very high after a certain period of time. And if they don't build here, they have to pay a very high tariff, which doesn't work, so they'll come and build.
Today, the Canadian sector, which does big business south of the border, said Trump's threat could have big implications, not only for consumers, but the country as a whole.
Semiconductors underpin the entire innovation economy. And if you're not able to access semiconductors, you're not actually able to be sovereign in the ways that we mean it in the 21st century.
With another sector now bracing for Trump's impact, new polling indicates anxiety over the state of Canada-U.S. relations is skyrocketing. Nanos' latest numbers show that in the last month, Trump and the state of trade talks overtook the economy and jobs as the top national issue of concern.
Knowing that as time goes by and as Canadian jobs are at risk because of this trade uncertainty, that there will be increasing pressure for the government, not just to get some sort of deal and to bring stability to the relationship, but to also help industries that are currently suffering as a result of Donald Trump.
Nick Nano said that while the Liberals still have a sizable advantage over the other parties in the polls, succeeding or failing on the Trump file is shaping up to be the first defining test for Prime Minister Mark Carney. Heather?
Rachel Aiello in Ottawa. Thank you. Some good news in Newfoundland today, where an evacuation order was lifted for a St. John's suburb.
Let's continue to be optimistic about saving structures, and it's clear that that effort has worked in some parts of those communities. So I'm thankful for the firefighters for that very important and very successful work to date.
But there are still 4 out-of-control fires, including the large Kingston fire, which destroyed a 60-student elementary school in Western Bay. That fire has now grown to over 90 square kilometers in size. The province is hoping the forecasted rain and cooler temperatures will help the firefighting efforts.
But much like the rain that we got the last few days, it's probably not going to be enough to make a long-term difference.
Rain is also in the forecast for New Brunswick, where a total of 23 wildfires are burning. 6 are out of control, including 1 near Miramichi, now burning for 10 days. The province is expected to receive 40 firefighters from Ontario tomorrow. The evacuation order in West Dalhousie, Nova Scotia, has been expanded as a wildfire continues to grow there. People who live in more than 100 homes in the area have already been told to leave. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth is in Halifax, where wildfire concerns have stabilized, but fears continue across the province, Paul.
Heather, in this area, the evacuation order has been lifted and things have mostly returned to normal. But wildfires and air quality issues are still major concerns. When he was ordered to evacuate his home in West Dalhousie, Jamie Borden and his family left in a hurry.
I got a small, 5 cubic foot freezer that we threw on the back of the truck with all of our meat harvest for the year.
The West Dalhousie wildfire, more than 400 hectares in size, is one of many in the province, keeping firefighters busy.
Currently in the province, we have 11 active wildfires. Yesterday, our crews responded to 8 wildfires.
At this football training camp, air quality concerns continue, especially during this stretch of heat and high humidity.
That affects their breathing. So besides the fact that it's hot and they're tired,
add in smoke in the air.
It's a little bit different than when it was a week ago when we first came in, but it's a little bit of a shorter practice, not in pads, so it's actually a lot easier to breathe.
As wildfires continue to burn this summer, the risk of heart and lung disease could increase.
Because of the presence of these microscopic particulate matters in the atmosphere, in the air, that is making us sick. So this is a problem.
Staying indoors with filtered air systems and wearing a mask when outside are simple measures to help people stay safe, especially as these wildfires continue to burn. Heather.
Paul Hollingsworth in Halifax. Thank you, Paul. Devastating wildfires are ripping through northwest Spain and parts of Portugal. Fueled by one of the longest heat waves since records began, about 1,500 square kilometers have burned in Spain. Nearly 24 fires are raging in the country, and almost 10,000 people have been evacuated from their towns. More Tinder-like conditions are on the way, with temperatures expected to remain around the mid-30s through the weekend. Back here at home, the family of Ashley Shingoose shared their victim impact statements in a Manitoba courtroom this morning. Shingoose was one of 4 women killed by convicted serial killer Jeremy Skibitsky back in 2022. CTV's Alex Karpa was in the courtroom today. An emotional time for them. Alex, what did the family say?
Heather, after a long wait, the family of Ashley Shingoose finally had their voices heard in court, but they say the justice system failed them because convicted serial killer Jeremy Skibitsky was not in the courtroom to hear what they had to say. In the courtroom this morning, Ashley's family was visibly emotional, sharing their frustrations and anger as they were not given the opportunity to share their grief in front of Skibitsky. Her father, Albert Shingoose, calling it, quote, a tough year, but adding, I think I came to court for nothing.
They should have bought that murderer out here.
Her family said her life was stolen, causing them a lot of pain.
We are going to bring her home. We are going to do it together. We are going to help one another.
It was an unusual hearing. Courts do not typically allow statements to be entered after a sentencing is completed, but Manitoba's Chief Justice Glenn Joyal says this was an exceptional circumstance. At the time of the trial, Shingoose had not been identified as a victim and was referred to as Buffalo Woman.
Today was a difficult day to listen and to hear the family's hurt that they're experiencing.
Along with Ashley Shingoose, Skibitsky was convicted of first-degree murder in the deaths of Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, and Rebecca Comtois. Skibitsky was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. Police believe Shingoose's body was taken to the Brady Road landfill in southwest Winnipeg. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew said a preliminary search for the remains of Shingoose began earlier this week. Heather.
Alex, thank you. Coming up, shooting for the stars. A group of students attempt to make history in northern Quebec. Students aim to make some history today, launching their own rocket to space. CTV's Quebec Bureau Chief Geneviève Boschman is tracking the story. So Geneviève, how did it go?
Well, Heather, analysis is on the way to figure out the mission's success. Regardless, this is one for the history books. 5:34 a.m. on a remote base camp on Cree territory. The Star Sailor rocket set for blastoff.
We're going now.
A liftoff on a live stream 7 years in the making. Built from the dreams of Concordia University students and the collaboration of the local Cree community. In 2018, the aspiring engineers set out to reach for the stars with the largest, most powerful student-built rocket ever made. The Spark was an intercollegiate race to launch a liquid fuel rocket into space, but that was canceled by the pandemic. Still, Concordia students forged ahead in their attempt to make history. Their goal, launch Star Sailor and breach the edge of space. 700 students pitched in over the years, devoting countless hours to their space quest.
The launch is on schedule. Thank you for joining us so early in the morning. We're coming to you live from Aou-Ichi, a few hours north of Mistissini, Quebec.
The flight got clearance from Transport Canada. The local airspace was closed. Bad weather scrubbed 2 earlier launch dates.
This is insane.
This time, it was all systems go.
Now that was the largest student-built rocket ever flown. Pretty cool.
Though this is rocket science, and so it's hard. And students saw firsthand that simulations are not reality.
It does look like it separated earlier and burned out earlier than we expected.
In the end, Star Sailor didn't reach space, but the students say it still went beyond expectations.
The sky is not the limit, obviously. For us, this is not a failure. This is like the beginning. Like, we've proven that we are allowed a seat at the table of like launching to space.
See you in space next time.
Still, the future looks bright. Now the team is recovering the rocket's components with the help of local helicopter pilots. Heather.
An exciting time for those students. Geneviève, thank you. Still ahead, facing years in prison. What led him to this foot-long felony? Positive numbers emerging from the housing market, with home sales up last month, continuing an upward trend after a slowdown earlier this year.
There's a big burst of fresh, new, exciting listings, usually in the first week of September. We saw that last year. Buyers jumped all over it. I think they might jump all over them even more this year.
Numbers from the Canadian Real Estate Association show sales jumped 6.6% last month compared to last year and rose 3.8% over June. The average home sold for more than $672,000. That's a 0.6% increase from 2024. A Washington man has been charged with felony assault after throwing a sandwich at a federal officer.
In retrospect, he's going to say, hey, why did I do that? But at the time, mentally, he's like, hey, this is my city. Don't want you here.
In this video, the suspect appears to yell at the agent before throwing his sub at point-blank range. U.S. President Donald Trump has controversially ordered federal officers and the National Guard to patrol the American Capitol. The suspect faces up to 8 years in prison. After the break, all smiles on Prince Edward Island for a beloved summer tradition. Tens of thousands have filled the streets of Charlottetown for the largest parade east of Montreal. CTV's Maria Saru is in the middle of the party at the Gold Cup Parade. Maria.
Hi, Heather. I've been talking to people from across the country here for this parade, mostly from the Maritimes. Some have been coming to watch for their whole lives. Bagpipes blared and the RCMP's band kicked off the Gold Cup Parade. There were big grins for blocks, and from the front row, lots of little hands waved.
There's a lot of fun stuff. Our family is here, and we get to see all of the public, all of the people, some of the people who help our communities. I like just seeing all the firefighters.
It's a big summer tradition on Prince Edward Island, and for many, a homecoming.
I've been coming now for about 19 years.
I'm home visiting because I just moved away.
Kind of a nostalgic feeling coming back to watch it as an adult.
Some set up their lawn chairs long before the fun started, saving a seat for themselves and furry friends. One of the reasons the streets are so packed is because some people get the day off for this parade. Some just take a break to watch. With all the tourists coming into town, the parade helps out small businesses, but the benefits go beyond that.
There's the economic spin-offs, but there's the cultural spin-offs too. You'll see floats from the Chinese Society, and it keeps going.
The event dates back to 1962, an important part of the island's Old Home Week, a showcase of the province's agriculture and harness racing industries.
We have company from Nunavut and wanted to make sure that they experience some of Old Home Week.
We've been coming to the parade since I was a little kid, and my daughter this year is actually a banner carrier.
Tomorrow the festivities continue at the Gold Cup and Saucer, the region's most celebrated harness racing event. Heather.
Looks like a lot of fun, Maria. Thank you. That is our newscast for this Friday. Thank you for watching. I will be back later tonight with CTV National News at 11. I hope you can join us. I'm Heather Butts. Your local CTV News starts right now.